Hey guys, so I have just made a really cool system for opening the doors with a puzzle that I think you're all going to enjoy. And basically we have 4 different pillars. On each pillar you have 4 different runes, and you need to rotate the pillars to match the runes to correct solution, and then you open the door. And again, I'm going to split it between 2 videos, because in first one we need to create all of the assets and everything we will need, and in the second one we'll do the functionality. So first, let's create the pillar and pillar base, and for that we can go to modeling tools. If you don't want to do this part, you can also go to fab, and here if you search for pillar, that might actually save you some work. There is a couple of the options for free that you can get, like this one looks okay, or this one for example, that will work, but I think it's better if we create it from scratch. So let's go to modeling. Then in your content browser, go to third person, meshes, and here create new folder. This will be puzzle door. Open it up, and then here make sure this new asset location you have set to current folder, so it saves here, because by default it is probably on auto generate folder. Then we go to create box, and again by default it will be 100 on each side, but for pillar base we want to do 20 on height. This is fine, just accept, move it a little bit higher, and then obviously we do have sharp edges cube, and what we want to do is make it look more like stone. So go to deform, dynamic sculpt, and in here we're going to, for size, I think this default one is fine. Just make sure the brush type is move, and then you will just slightly hold on the left mouse button and drag the corner, but just only a little bit, like that, and like this. And you do each side, you kind of deform, and that will kind of make it look like stone. If you make a mistake, then just Ctrl Z it, but apart from that you want to do it all of the sharp edges, just move them slightly, just drag and move. Don't do it too much, because if you hold and move it higher you will have like these things, so you don't want that. You just want to deform this stone. Alright, all of the edges like that, maybe not as much. Bottom part as well, and the corners are kind of important because you don't want to have sharp corners, kind of you want to have them a little bit rounded. You can also change the strength and size and play with it a little bit more, but I wouldn't worry too much, because once you do it just like this, then and apply material, it actually looks much better. Cool. And now this will be my stone base. Let me see if I do have any more. Maybe this edge needs to be a little bit like that. There we go. Once you're happy with it, just, you can probably see these red lines, which is the shadow relic. So you will see actually shadow flickering in your game as well, so it won't look nice. What you want to do to get rid of it is just here, instead of move, we will select smooth, and then again you just kind of want to drag across the surface a little bit slightly, just so you get rid of it, and just check it from the different angles as well, because it pops up sometimes. Yeah. So this is just basically when your mesh is kind of folded on itself, and then it does have visible shadow. From the bottom side you don't even really need to do it, because it will be on the ground, but you know, while we doing this, right, maybe here a little bit. And then if you press accept, you can see them a little bit more. So you can see I have small shadow up here, so I'm going to again do selection, modeling, again deform, dynamic sculpt, And I'm going to get rid of this part as well. Alright, see on the bottom I still have a little bit of shadow, but again I'm just going to quickly fix it. That's fine. Right, now we have done this. We also want to apply the material. Save all just in case, because engine can be a little bit cranky with this. I crashed a couple times. But then on the element you just select the material. You can download some stone materials, but I really like this one, rock sandstone, that is there with the starter content. So I'll select this one, and this will be basically all of my assets. But obviously if you want to change it to regular stone, like a dark one that will go better with your game, do it. And then you could also bake the material, but what I like to do is just duplicate it because it's easier. So I go to Xform, duplicate, accept, and it created it with the material already included in it by default. And then we can just delete this one. Save all, and now let's make a pillar. So we need to do the same thing. You can move this back, and then let's create box. This time the height will be 100, and these ones maybe 40 and 40. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Accept. Again, move it a little bit higher. Go back to deform, dynamic sculpt, and make sure you change it again to move. And you want to kind of move it up. This one I don't actually want to have as much done as this one, because on the faces here we will have runes, so you kind of want to have it a little bit smoother, but you can change the strength. Oop. No, this doesn't even work. Just again go around the edges and do it. You can even have a little bit more cracks that you had before. Right. And again, once you've done this, just go to smooth, and let's smooth out these shadows. Right, and then when you press accept, you should see, like, look, I do have a little bit more shadow here. There we go. This side is fine. And this side has a little bit more. Right. Okay, so now just again do the same thing, save it, apply the material, stone, and then I'm going to duplicate it, delete this one, and now we do have a stone pillar and a base for it. We can also quickly create door. So for the door, it doesn't really matter what size you do, that's literally preference. You can do many different doors and then just keep changing static mesh, whatever fits your game. I'm just going to do like bigger ones. So height will be like 300. That's maybe 260. 260. This needs to be longer, so 320. I'll do depth only 30 actually, and 320 on this. Is that high enough? 280. And then 340. I want to have a big door. And 30 should be fine. Or maybe let's do 40. Accept, and then just quickly sculpt it again. So deform, dynamic sculpt. You can maybe increase this size. Make sure you change it to move instead of smooth. And then just change the corners. With a bigger asset, it's actually a little bit easier to sculpt it. At least I think so. And again, it doesn't need to be perfect because the door should have some kind of frame as well you can place it into, so don't worry about it too much. Just as long as it's not very sharp on the edge. There we go. And then smooth. Smooth out these shadows. A lot here. And on this side as well. And then when you accept, you will probably see some more. Here a little bit. Careful, do not select like your game mesh or something like that, like your bottom. Just a little bit on the bottom. On this side. All right. Bottom part, I don't really worry about that. We'll just slide in the ground or something. So again, just apply material to this one as well, whichever one you like. Sandstone. I'm going to save all just in case, and then I'm going to duplicate this. Xform, duplicate, accept, accept. And we do have all of the assets that we need. Now, what we want to create is a decal, so that will be same as we created this one here, but it will be for the runes on the stone itself. So for that, I have actually created some decals based on the Greek alphabet and stuff, and done them in Photoshop. If you're a Patreon member, you can download them, or you just make your own, but it is just PNG textures again. And I'm trying to find where I put them. So third person, materials, runes, and it is just images like this with a little bit of texture, but apart from that they are white. If you don't want to create any, go to Fab again and download some decals, but if you search for any letters or anything like that, you probably won't have much luck, because there is only like stuff like this. So that will work, but it's better if you create your own. So again, what we need to do here is create new material, and this will be Rune decal underscore m. We'll open it up, and you just want to drag out one of those textures, and this time we're not going to connect it to opacity and base color. I mean, this one still goes to opacity, so we can do, first of all, select this, go to deferred decal, translucent, apply, and now from the texture we will multiply. We will create parameter by holding S and click, and this is opacity. We can do slider again, so minimum and maximum is 1, default value is 1. And then we connect it to opacity. But then instead of creating color, now we hold 3 and click, and we're going to place it into emissive. So they actually have some light from the runes, which will look really nice. You can change the color to whatever you like. I really like to have kind of like aqua color. I'll change that. And then as you can see, it's a little bit bland as it is, but what we can do is multiply this by 10. And then we connect it to emissive color. Apply and save. And now this will be our rune. So if you go back to materials, rune, and you can see this is what it will be like. So you got a lot of light from it. So that looks pretty cool. And now we just need to create some material instance for each rune. So we want to have at least 4 different decals. So I'm going to right click, create material instance. Before actually I do it, sorry, delete this. In here we need to also make this parameter. So right click, convert to parameter, and this will be rune texture. And then also, if you like, you can right click and convert this to parameter, which will be rune color. So you don't have to. And also this one, like how much you want the light to give out, like how much light you want to give out. But I'm not going to do that, just these ones. And now we can right click, create material instance. This will be rune a underscore mi. And let's just create 4 of them. So create material instance rune b underscore mi. So material instance, right click, create material instance rune c underscore mi, and create material instance rune d underscore mi. And now for the rune a, doesn't really matter, I know there are Greek letters or anything, but I'm just going to do whichever is first. So now you can actually check this and change the runes. You can change the opacity, but I'm not going to, or rune color. So rune B will be this one, rune C will be this one, and rune D will be this one. Save. Save all. Now we do have all of this created. So you can just drag it out just to test it, what it's going to look like. We need to make it way smaller. And obviously at the moment it's rotated on the ground, so we need to rotate it this way, and I think this way, 90 degrees, and then make it smaller. Yeah. I'm going to turn off the snapping. You can probably just change it faster here. So this will be my rune on one side, and on each side I'm going to have the different ones. And then this will be in the middle. And you can see you do have kind of nice runes. But what you can also test out is if you put the sun down. So there is Ctrl and L is the shortcut to move the sun. I'm going to make it dark. And then in here you will have a rune like this, which I think looks amazing. So cool. So that is how we create the runes and everything else. Now let's create the actual asset. So most of the people, what they do for like puzzle door or something like that, you do have a different asset for pillar and everything else, and then you have to event dispatch and stuff. I just want to do it in one asset like we did with all the other ones. So this one asset will have all 4 pillars, doors as well, and we'll be controlling it from there. So let's go to actors. I don't have this base actor here, so I do have it in items. It is the one we created as a base interactable actor, not the item. And I'll move it to actors, and then I'm going to right click, create child blueprint class with all the functionality of interface, and this will be puzzle door underscore BP. Here we need to create few things. So static mesh will be by default. I don't want to change that to anything because that will be the placeholder that will move every other asset, but we need to create all the pillars here, doors, and also runes. So let's go ahead and add static mesh. It will be child of this static mesh, and this will be pillar 1. Then in this pillar 1, sorry, first we need pillar base. So pillar base 1, and we will select pillar base. Did I not rename it? Meshes, puzzle door. No. Okay, so rename this one pillar base underscore SM. This one will be puzzle door or stone door. Doesn't need to be puzzle door. Stone door underscore SM. And this is stone pillar underscore SM. So here I'm going to select pillar base, and then for overlap events, generate overlap events. We want to generate for this one, but we don't want to generate for the main static mesh, so turn it off here. Then I'm going to duplicate this, make it child of the first one, and this one will be pillar 1. And here, make sure you turn off overlap events. This will be kind of important. We just want to overlap different pillar bases, and then based on that, we will switch on the interact type. And pillar 1, static mesh will be pillar, stone pillar, and then we'll move it up. Doesn't need to be directly in the stone. You can actually leave a little bit of space because there should be kind of some rotating mechanism technically in it. Is that in the middle? Yeah. Compile and save. And now we need to add decal. So we need to add 4 decals. Here I'm going to resize them to decal size. Let's see, 20, 20, 40, 40. That should be all right. And now just to figure out which way it is turned, you just need to find out which side it is located on. So I'll do it like this so I can see. All right, first select actual decal. So Rune A MI. There we go. So I'm going to do default rotation because I don't know what I've done. And then move it here. Move it sideways. I think this is it. And then move it up. Yeah, all right. Needs to be out. And then just make it smaller. Just move it somewhere here. Just make sure it's in the middle. Also make sure it's not popping out like this much, because then if you were to drop some object next to it, they would be flashing as well, like they would get that decal. We have it turned off on the player, so it doesn't matter, but you know, it's just going to be better. So this will be decal. We're not going to do A, I'm going to do 1 because we're going to copy it and duplicate this. So duplicate this one. This will be decal 2. And it will be Rune B. And I'm just going to move it, rotate it 90 degrees. And move it in the middle. Then I'm going to duplicate this again. Decal 3, Rune C. Moved it wrong, so let's move this one 90 degrees again. And move it here. How long is it? Doesn't need to be that long. In the middle, and then duplicate it one more time, decal 4, 90 degrees, and move it to the side. And this will be Rune D. Again, move it in the middle. I'm just going to make this first one smaller as well. Equal 2 as well. I'm not sure if that affects performance, but just so it doesn't generate over the whole thing, so just make it smaller. Cool. So now we do have 4 runes and 4 decals. Compile, save all, and what we want to do is select all of these from the pillar base, copy, and then you select pillar, and then you Control and V. Don't select the... I'm just thinking we should have made it... First, let's actually drag this onto static mesh. Static mesh needs to be a default parent, and that will mess it up. So again, pillar goes to pillar base, and these 4 decals, decal 1, pillar base, pillar, decal 2. I just want to have it organized the same way as I had it before, because then it will be mess. And now we have this, so now you copy the whole thing, and if you select pillar and paste it, it won't actually copy the same way. I wonder why. Copy and then paste. Maybe if I just compile it, because there is a way to copy the whole thing that it should be with the children and everything. So copy the whole thing, paste it, compile, save, copy, static mesh. That's outside pillar. Ah, there we go. Okay, probably compile and save, and then select the pillar and paste it. That will paste it as it was. Paste 3, cool, and 4. So it will create all the decals and everything as well, and we do have pillar base 3, pillar base 4, and everything seems to be fine. So this is what I wanted basically. And so all the next decals is just as it's meant to be. Alright, so that's sorted. And what else can we do? On the event graph we can also set up the interact for each pillar, but first let's move this pillar apart from each other. So select pillar 3, move it, pillar 4 will be on this side. Just move them a little bit further apart because then you will have a overlap events. Always move the base. So we can position them in the world where we want to, but here this is just be by default. So pillar 1, and you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we also want to create a door. So in the static mesh, add one more static mesh. Add static mesh. Do I have a pillar selected or what's going on? Just duplicate this. This will be door. And add it to static mesh. Door, and here we'll select that door, stone door. Cool. So this is the basic setup. Now I need to move my sun back up. So Control and L. I don't know why I placed the point lines. Okay, and now we will remove this part, and you can drag out also this, and you can drag out your third person blueprints, actors, puzzle door. There we go. And these ones you can position from here. Obviously static meshes, you just select always the pillar base and you drag the whole thing wherever you want. And then later on we will set up that we can change the position as well of the pillars by default as a change which rune it shows. And that is it. So as I said, I will fix the pickup and everything else when we do functionality because it's getting a little bit longer again. So until the next one, see you then.